Hello dear students, welcome back again in the online class. Today we are going to continue same chapter, force and motion, and today we will finish this chapter. And you have already studied introduction of force, two different types of motion. Yes, today we are going to learn different types of motion at the same time. Okay, at the same time different types of motion can occur. We are going to learn about this and we'll briefly learn about some important points from beginning to end of this lesson. Let's go through this. You know that there are different types of motion as we studied in the last session, and a body which is in motion may possess more than one type of motion at the same time. About that we are going to learn today. Some examples are given here. With examples we will learn this. Okay, first of all, this example, it is not new for us. Yes, we have already studied this example. And the earth revolves around the sun, and at the same time it also rotates about its axis. If you see here, simply when earth rotates in its own axis, it has rotatory motion, and when earth is revolving around the sun, it has which motion? Circular motion. Yes, the path covered by earth during revolution is circular. You know, earth, it rotates after each 24 hours in its own axis, and it revolves around the sun after each 365 days or 1 year. Yes, that means there is fixed gap of time or fixed interval of time between two rotation or two revolution. So what we can understand now, there is periodic motion also. So at the same time, the earth has rotatory, circular and periodic motion. Okay, in this way we can understand that so there is different type of motion at the same time. Similarly, another example is also there. You can see here, when a football rolls on the playground, it has both rotatory and translatory motion. You can see here, a moving ball, while moving, it is rotating in its own axis. That means it is moving in its own axis. It has rotatory motion also. It is covering the distance with its whole particle, that is translatory motion, and it is moving in its own axis also, that is rotatory motion. So at the same time there is two types of motion in a moving ball, rotatory and translatory motion. Similarly, you can see another example here. When a vehicle moves on a road, it has translatory motion, whereas its wheels have rotatory motion. You can see this car, it is moving on the road. Yes, if we see only the car, it has translatory motion, whole car is moving on the road. Yes, but if we look at only the wheels are moving in its own axis. That means it has which motion? Rotatory motion. So in the moving car, at the same time there is two types of motion, translatory as well as rotatory motion. Okay, and now another example. If we look at the needle of clock, it also possesses different type of motion at the same time, like circular, rotatory and periodic. How it possesses different type of motion? You see, if you just see the tip of needles here, path covered by tip of the needle of the clock, yes, it is circular motion. And if we look here in the center, yes, these all needles, they are moving from its own axis, yes or not? That means it has rotatory motion. These all needles, they have rotatory motion. Okay, and similarly periodic motion, you know, this second arm, in after interval of 1 second it moves, and this minute arm, after each interval of 1 minute it moves to another, and similarly hour arm, it moves from one to another, yes, in after 1 hour. That means there is fixed gap of time between their movement. In this way we can understand this clock has three types of motion at the same time. Yes, if you just see the path covered by needles of the clock, they have rotatory motion. Yes, if we see the needles themselves, they have rotatory motion. If we see the gap of time between movement of each arms or each needle of the clock, it has periodic motion. In this way we can understand. Okay, there is different kind of motion at the same time. Now, okay, we'll learn some important points from beginning to end of this lesson. Let us revise some important points. We started this chapter with introduction of force, and simply we can define force as push or pull on a body. And the SI unit of force is Newton and its CGS unit is Danny. Force can also change position, shape, velocity and direction of body. These are effects of force about which we have already studied, yes. And there are figure also given, yes, how force can change shape of body or how force can change direction of a moving body. And similarly we studied rest and motion also, and you have already studied that, yes. What is motion? When a body changes its position with time in respect to its surrounding, then it is said to be in motion. Similarly, when a body does not change its position with time in respect to its surrounding, then it is said to be at rest. At that time also we studied with many examples. Here is also you can see some houses, buildings are there. They are not showing any movement with respect to surrounding. That means they are at rest. And here you can see different types of motion, yes, which we studied in the last session. Different types of motion. They are translatory, circular, oscillatory, rotatory, periodic, non-periodic and random motion. We studied about this type of motion, yes, in the last class, and today also we studied different types of motion at the same time, yes or not? Okay, in this way this chapter is finished. Thank you. See you in the next session. Bye bye.